rookie minicamp is done. That means all eyes are on quarterbacks. And now we have to sort of adjust our thinking because we spent so many months talking about the problems with the rookie class in the NFL this year, the drafted. Now that everybody has a home, we got to start figuring out when these problem children are going to get on the field, right? So Frank has had the unenviable task of trying to figure out when every rookie quarterback will start. Frank, let's start with the number one overall pick in the draft. The most forgotten number one overall pick at quarterback, I would argue, in the history of the NFL. Cam Ward, just a reminder, Cam Ward was selected with the first overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. I don't know nobody gives a damn, but I should remind everybody. So, Frank, when does Cam Ward, the juggernaut known as Cam Ward, hit the field starting for the Tennessee Titans?
I'm glad you started easy because this is week one, and I don't think there's no, unless he gets hurt or just something crazy happens in Tennessee. Like, he's going to start week one. But I just don't understand this whole Brian Callahan splitting reps between him and Will Levis, said, we're going to make him earn the job. And Cam Ward saying, oh, I haven't been told I'm the starter. Why? Why are we doing this? Like, I know Callahan's not Urban Meyer, who's going to drag this into late August before he finally says Trevor Lawrence is the starter, waste an entire training camp. But why? What's the point in all this? Why play games? We all know Cam Ward starting week one. I find this stupid, Charles. What do you think? I'm sure you would disagree with me in some way. Why? But why? Why is this not stupid?
Give him an opportunity to win something. I think it's good to go out. Don't you remember? I remember the feeling of becoming a starter for the first time when I played football in high school, right? Like I was going head to head with a guy. You took your leather helmet, you held it up above your head. But I remember. Listen, I remember. To this day, I remember the first time I was named a starter, and it was I literally remember standing there in practice. It was me and another guy. We were going for the same position, and somebody had to go out with the first team, and I remembered him saying my name, get out there. And I remember the look on the other guy's face when he did it. Like, I felt terrible for him. I was elated. Give him a chance to have that. You know, say you're.
Did you hold on to the starting job, Rob? That's the important part here.
I did. Okay. Despite my complete and total lack of athleticism.
Yeah.
I did. I was able to hold on to a starting job. Listen, I do think it's a good thing, though. I think it gives him, whether it's real competition or not, it gives him a chance to go out there and feel like there's a little bit of competing going on in the field. It gives him the ability to be announced to the team. This is who our starter is going to be. I feel like there's an element of, rather than just going, hey, we drafted you first overall. I've obviously had issues with Will Levis in the past. I'm ready to move on. We're going to go ahead and just give you the job because we drafted you one, and the job comes with that first overall pick. I like it this way. I like giving the kid a chance to feel like he actually competed and won something, and maybe feel a sense of momentum, because there's no momentum to be named the starter if you're named the starter the day of the draft. There's zero momentum to that.
Don't you think?
You didn't have to do anything.
Is there something to be said though about, this is our guy. We have no doubts at all about it. He is our starter day one. We get up at the press conference right after we draft him and say, of course,
come on, Frank. Nobody out there hears this and goes, oh, there's something cooking. Something's not right. Something's. No one believes that. And if anybody believes that, they're more.
This whole charade is weird.
It doesn't. But it is what it is. Like, okay, when I went through Broncos camp last year, I'm sitting there with Sean Payton, and he's telling me, Stiddy's still, Stiddy's number one on the depth chart. And I'm like, Jarrett Stidham is not starting for you this season. You went and you took Bo Nix. When everybody said he should have been a second round pick, you took him because you loved him. You told everybody to shut up when she'd made the decision. Don't let anybody know we're taking Bo Nix. He's going to be your starter. And yet Sean Payton went through those paces. And I think it's for the same reason. He wanted to give the kid a chance to go into camp, compete, creates a little bit of a storyline, and then he gets his moment. When you've won the job, now you have momentum, you took something, here's a little mini win, your first NFL win before we even play games. And, is it a facade? Is it a charade? Yeah, but so there's a bunch of in the NFL. Oh, everything's a charade. We sleep in our offices. We don't ever go home. We never see our families. Come on, man. There's a lot of charades. There's so much of the NFL is theater.
What about Will in this situation? Like, when Will inevitably gets beat for this job, what do they do? In my mind, I'm like surprised they've even kept Will this long.
I can't even imagine them putting him in. Oh my goodness.
He's Malik Willis before him. Okay. Cause the same thing happened with Malik Willis and Will Levis.
Yeah.
I went there. I was in camp. I watched Mike Vrabel losing his mind because Malik Willis couldn't get the huddle broken fast enough. The tempo of the offense was slow. He's screaming faster. And yet the whole time they were competing, for that starting job at some point. And, ultimately what happened with Willis, he failed and ultimately got dealt to the Packers, and then all of a sudden looked really good when he got in for the Green Bay Packers when Jordan Love got hurt. And if you're Levis, that's what you have to hope for. I'm out in Tennessee, but I might not be out somewhere else. I will have another chance at a second life because, look, I've got the arm, I've got the frame for it. I have all these, things in terms of building a quarterback in a lab that kind of looks like me. I'm just a terrible decision maker at this stage of my career. And I'll say this too. I remember Malik Willis, when he would get out there for the Titans, I mean, it was scary how bad it looked at times. And I remember when he was getting the start with the Packers, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be a total train wreck. Like, this is going to be the worst thing that ever happened. And then I watched him and I'm like, oh my God, he looks really good. Like he's running, he's playing, like he doesn't look like he's overthinking things. The tempo's great. Like he put himself in position to possibly one day get another shot, but to be a really good backup for the Packers. I think now Levis has got to do the same thing with the Titans. This will be his last year in Tennessee, likely. And, he'll get a shot somewhere else and he's going to have to pick the pieces up and build on it.
Can you imagine Cam Ward like spraining his ankle in the first quarter? Can you imagine Brian Callahan's reaction when he looks back at Will Levis and he's like, the JT Real Muto a gif when the guy's coming in for the bullpen and Muto's just shaking his head. That's what's going to happen with Brian Callahan. He's going to lose his mind when he has to put Will Levis back into a game that matters.
Yeah, Callahan just walks off the field at that point, takes his clipboard with him. He's like, I'll see you next week. All right, what about Jaxson Dart, Frank? Where do you have Jaxson Dart starting? Remember, obviously drafted by the Giants. Much has been made of all of the pre-draft work and the videos all over social media. People are in love with Jaxson Dart. So when does he hit the field?
I'm interested to see what Charles has to say after this because I think he would agree that the Giants hope they don't have to use him this year, but I think it's inevitable that they do have to use him. If you look, their schedule's really, really tough. I can't see the Giants being a playoff team, right? So at the end of the day, Joe Shane, Brian Daboll, they have to show some signs of progress, and that's going to have to be Jaxson Dart with a couple games late in the year. I stumbled upon this. I totally forgot this. When Josh Allen was a rookie, in week 1, the Bills started Nathan Peterman over Josh Allen. That might be the craziest, look back at that decision ever. Nathan Peterman voluntarily, they started him over future MVP Josh Allen. They were down 26-0 at halftime, and they were like, we can't do this anymore. They threw Josh Allen in, and he's been a starter ever since. Something like that could happen, I guess. But I think they're going to wait as long as they can on Jaxson Dart, who needs development. He needs some time. They have a weird bye week. It's week 14. So if you think about it, you get to week 13, you're probably, 4-9 or whatever the Giants are going to be. I think at that point you say, all right, it's a bye week. Let's get Jaxson ready. He can start the final 4 games of the year. We can show ownership. Hey, look at Jaxson Dart. Look how he played over the last month. So I think it's going to be week 15 when we see Dart for the first time as a starter.
It's a tough one because, you look at the schedule and there's
not
a lot of inviting, to me, at first, as I'm scrolling through, I'm like, yeah, they absolutely could start 0-4 and week 5 could be when he starts. But the problem with that is when I look at that, I'm like, damn, they play Philly week 6 and 8. You're like, and the Broncos are in between that. And it's a road game at the Broncos. So you're going to stick the kid in when, if you do it in week 5, that's 1, 2, 3 road games in the next 4. And the only home game is against the defending Super Bowl champions. So that's not really week 5 is not inviting. If you want to get it off to a good start, that is, right? So then I go, okay, well, maybe it's week 9. Maybe the 49ers fall apart. Maybe they're not nearly all these guys that they lost in the offseason who signed a multitude of long-term contracts, or at least deals that were bigger than 1 year. That to me, a little underrated thing for fans to watch. When you lose a bunch of guys, if they leave your team and either don't sign or they sign a bunch of 1-year deals, you're probably going to be okay. But if they leave and sign 2-year deals, 3-year deals, 4-year deals with other franchises, it means you just lost something. Well, the 49ers lost a lot of guys like that. A lot of their guys left and went and signed, real NFL deals that were beyond one season.
Charles, I think they had 8 guys sign deals worth at least $10 million a year.
Okay,
that's a lot. It's 7 or 8. It'll be in my preview. Yeah,
there's potential drain. So maybe we get to week 9. And the Niners are not as good as we thought they were going to be, right? So maybe, and they're at home, right? We're talking about the Giants. The Giants are at home. The Niners are flying across the country, right, to play. It's a 1 p.m. Eastern game for a West Coast team, right? So body clock stuff. Maybe week 9. If the Niners are falling apart, if the Giants are struggling and they're looking for an insertion point, especially if the Bears are also struggling, and that's who you get, albeit on the road, but that's who you get in week 10. I think if you don't do it there, I struggle to find anywhere but week 14. Like, I think maybe week 9, depending on how these teams look in Chicago and San Francisco, and then if not there, week 14. That said, maybe things are just so bad with the Giants that you start 0-5, 0-6, and at that point you're like, we don't have a choice.
The Josh Allen thing. You're down 29 zip at halftime.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever, just go.
Let's go.
I mean, isn't there some? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a hot take here. I think that the only thing the Giants and Brian Daboll can possibly manufacture this year, because they're not going to get wins, is excitement. And so when Jaxson Dart gets into the preseason and looks better than most people expect, I think there's going to be a level of excitement. I think it's going to be hard to keep Jaxson Dart off the field. And the answer is going to be from day one, from Daboll, the answer is going to be, hey, we got a rookie quarterback in that we know needs some development and time, but we think the best way to develop him is on the field. We're going to put everybody around him to help in this process. I think he's starting week 1. How about that? I think we get preseason.
I think that's possible.
I think Jaxson Dart gets in. Mm-hmm. And then the whole season is about, man, you know what? We didn't win a lot of games, but look at the ups and downs we survived with Jaxson. Look at the progress we made by the end of the season. Like, he is the selling point for Daboll, for the Giants, for the whole organization. Jaxson Dart week 1.
I think that's possible, and I think it's possible because you have the ability to manipulate reps in training camp and give him a lot of reps. He can get a lot of reps. He can get a lot of burn in joint practices, right? He can get some meaningful stuff. And I think there could be a tell. So to me, if he plays almost 0 snaps in the exhibition season, like let's say he gets 1 series here or 1 series there, then I'm going to go, I don't know. Maybe he does start right out of the gate for these guys, because maybe Brian Daboll is looking at the same thing we're looking at at the schedule and going, when are we going to do this? Like, if we're going to do it, maybe we should just do it off the bat so we can give him as many starting reps as possible through all these weeks of training camp and some exhibition snaps, and we, protect them, but we throw them out a series here and a series there. And we just go into the season saying this is ultimately going to be our guy, and we geared up for it, rather than trying to do it mid-season when you're like, well, what's the right insertion point? Oh my God, we're beat down. We're 0-6. The locker room morale's crap at this point, and we got to go, and we got Philly and all these others coming up. I think it is as possible it's week 1 as it is week 14.
Wow. If they hit 0-6, Daboll could be. I know it's the Giants; they never fire midseason. He could be fired midseason, like for all we know. And then all of a sudden, never even see the young kid. What about Tyler Shough, the Saints controversial draft pick in the mind of some? I don't know. Knowing what we know now about Derek Carr, everybody's wondering if the Saints should have done something different. They love Shough. He's their guy. Is he their week 1 starter, Frank?
I don't see any way around it. He's 26 years old in September. He's got to play right away. He's not a developmental guy. He played parts of 7 college football seasons. But the Saints have this really weird history. I kind of knew this, but I was still struck by it when I saw it. The Saints have not had a rookie quarterback start week 1 since 1971. It was Archie Manning, whose grandson is about ready to enter the NFL in a year or two. It's more than 50 years since they've had a rookie quarterback start week 1. It's been like 30 some odd years since they've had a rookie quarterback win a game for them. They famously haven't drafted a quarterback in the first round since Archie Manning. So there's just this weird Saints and rookie quarterbacks type of thing. Maybe they start with Spencer Rattler for a couple games. He has a good preseason because he's got a year of experience and he kind of wins a job. But I don't see any way around starting Tyler Shough week 1. Why not? Give him the full year, see what you got, go into the draft next year with a clear mind of, oh, we need to draft a quarterback or we got our guy. One of the two. I think it's going to be week 1 unless it's like one of those. We'll give Spencer Rattler a try first, and it's like week 3 or week 4 when Shough gets the job.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's week 1 personally, and I think if you're the Saints, I think the plan is we're going to go one of two ways here. We're going to start the guy week 1, or we're going to start him all season long, and we're either going to go 3-14, and it's going to be a horrible mess, and we're going to look at him and go, nope, we got to go get a quarterback, and now we have a high draft pick in the 2025 draft. So we'll go and select the quarterback who we really feel can lead us into the future, or he'll play well enough and maybe they win 6 games, maybe they win 7 games, maybe they win 5 games, but he plays well enough for you to know at the very least you have that resolved. Yeah, it sucked going through a losing season, or, there were growing pains or whatever. But as Frank said, our 26-year-old quarterback he's on the field. He's playing. He's our starter, and we know where we're going in 2026. So, I think 2025 is about figuring it out with him, and frankly, I don't have high hopes for the Saints. And again, as I said, whenever I feel that way about a team, I swear they always end up being a surprise. But I'd want to get him on the field right away. There's both with the age and the need, I think you got to go with him.
Yeah, it's such a lose-lose situation for the Saints. If Arch comes out after next year, and I still think that's a big ol' if, but if Arch comes out after next year and Shough has been good enough that they don't have a shot at him, that fan base is going to be angry. If he's
you go 5-12,
yeah. I mean, it's just they're in such a lose-lose situation because of the love of Arch. All right, what about the Browns, who managed to go this far and not mention, obviously, the starting quarterback everybody has their minds on? When is Dylan Gabriel going to get in? I kid. It's in jest. I kid. I know we all think it's Shedeur at some point, but all right, I'll give you either or. Let you choose your own adventure. Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. When are they getting on the field, Frank?
I looked at his Browns schedule. It's one of the craziest, hardest starts to a season you could possibly imagine. They start with the Bengals at home, loss. They go at the Ravens, loss. Packers at home, loss. Lions on the road, that's another loss. They do travel to England to face the Vikings. Things get weird in England once in a while, right? But the Vikings are so much better. You look at that, week 5, loss. They come back, they don't take the bye. They come back and play at the Steelers in week 6. They're 0-6. If you want to talk me into 1-5, okay. But this is a team that I assume Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett starting the season. They're just going to lean into the veteran. We're going to play. They might even make a change within those 6 games to the other guy. But I think after week 6 is when they just are like, we're 0-6. What have we got to lose? We got the Miami Dolphins coming up at home, who I don't think are going to have a very good defense. Let's just stick a quarterback in there. And I think it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. Look, they drafted this kid 2 rounds ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Yes, Shedeur could win the job in training camp and preseason, the number 3 job, basically, through training camp and preseason. I don't think so. I think there's a reason they drafted Dylan Gabriel, and they want to see this thing through. So I think Dylan Gabriel is a Browns starting quarterback week 7. But I will say this, Charles, I think all 4 quarterbacks start a game for the Browns this year. I think they keep all 4, and I think all 4 of them start a game.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I still think it's the week 9 bye. And the reason I say that is I think by week 5 or 6, people are going to look at New England and go, oh, Vrabel's got the defense going. Like, they're scary. Like defensively, I think there is a chance. First off, I think the Patriots could be the surprise team this year. The team that nobody, would consider them making the playoffs. I think he could have that big of an impact. But I definitely think defensively, by week 5 or 6 of the season, the Patriots are going to have taken a monumental leap forward.
And they play the Patriots week 8, right? So
and they play the Patriots
saying that
week
they just
8.
skip the Patriots game and they're like, wait till the bye. Let's just figure out
and just wait until the bye so that whoever it is, whether it's Gabriel or Sanders, you run Kenny Pickett through the wood chipper for basically 8 weeks, and then you make your decision there in week 9, which is going to be a total show. I mean, it's going to be if Dylan Gabriel gets the start, unless Shedeur is just horrible in training camp, and Dylan Gabriel gets the start, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a total mess, man.
Which is why, that's why I keep saying, I think the Browns, you're right. If they start 4 quarterbacks, to me, the only thing we're going to learn about any of those quarterbacks is that the Browns are going to be picking a quarterback at the top of the first round next year, and then they've wasted a 3rd and a 5th round pick this year that they never really gave the chance to actually blossom or succeed in any way, shape, or form. It just feels like an abject disaster to me.
You can already see it. Like, I mean, it didn't take long to start. It was like immediate, even in like the rookie camp, right? Where you had a reporter joking about how he's taller than Gillen Gabriel. You had another reporter coming out and saying that, Shedeur looks better throwing the football and it's not close. Like, it's already beginning and it's only going to get worse. And like, losing games is going to make this monumentally worse. If anything, if you ask me, like, how do you get out of this? Maybe you start Dillon Gabriel week 1 and you go, all right, if we're going to make a switch.
Put it through that schedule.
Yeah, just let him suck.
And then if you're going to make
suck.
And then if you're going to make the switch, and give Shedeur a shot, then you get to week 9. And that's where maybe you look at Shedeur taking a shot. But Frank, I'm with you. I don't see how it doesn't make a lot of sense to me how Shedeur can jump Dillon Gabriel at this point. I just don't see it.
Unless you have a great preseason, but he's going to be playing a fourth quarter, won't he? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to jump from 4 to 3 over the fourth quarter of a preseason game. And now there's only 3 preseason games, so you don't even get that fourth one. You probably play half the game because none of the veterans are playing. I agree. Like, I think it's hard to imagine Shedeur is next up whenever they make changes ahead of Dillon Gabriel. But I think at some point, Dillon Gabriel is probably going to struggle. And I think it's week 14, the Browns host the Titans. If I had to guess, that's probably the Shedeur week. Okay, Dillon Gabriel's been 0-3 or 0-5 or whatever it is. Let's try him out now. I mean, but I think it's going to happen. I think Shedeur does start a game this year, just because you look at the schedule and what they're dealing with, and I just think it's going to be quarterback carousel all year.
Just a reminder, whatever the problems that the Browns have at the quarterback position, not just with Deshaun Watson, but with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, are self-inflicted wounds because of how they've approached filling that quarterback room. I just will say that loudly. I have no sympathy for them. They did this to themselves.